Now, a series of events in my life led me to believe that we create our own reality. Or as I will clarify, we create our own perception of reality. Steve Cacconi mentioned this in his 2023 Overleys overview for the year, and he recommended learning about the power of neurotransmitters and the brain. And actually, almost every session earlier this weekend has spoken directly on my topic today. So let's talk about alignment there, right? What makes my talk different is application. I'm going to teach you how I apply this concept in my life. So hopefully you'll be more confident being a co-creator in your life. Lucky for you, a lot of these talks and teachings have been aligned with my learnings, or as I like to call them, rememberings. You see, up until about 2019 or 2020, I was struggling with severe anxiety and depression. If you look at this level, 1 to 9, I was an 11. I was desperate to find a way out. I had a panic attack that led me in the hospital. One of my doctors told me I was on enough medication that I could tranquilize a horse with it. And none of it was working. None of the self-help stuff that I tried was working. So I entered into an intensive outpatient program, which is a mental hospital, and I needed to try something new. So this program included several courses each day on different topics that related to your life, and you get to pick which class you wanted to go to. And these were all just different tools and techniques to build our toolbox of resources for each individual problem. One of the most helpful classes I learned was on rewiring your brain. It got into the details of the neurotransmitters, how the brain creates neurons, and how we get to program them. That class led me to making choices and changes in my life that helped me better manage my anxiety and depression. And I say manage because it's never really healed, but I haven't had a panic attack in over 3 years. I've been able to maintain a positive mental attitude through some of the hardest situations in my life. And I feel really confident in my mental stability. Anything that comes my way, I'm able to handle, and I'm able to use some of these techniques and tools that I've learned. And so I want to pass this knowledge on to you in hopes that it may spark the same thing in me, or in the same thing in you that it did in me, and help you create your own reality. So I've been on this quest to discover exactly how do we do this? How do we create your own reality? How do we take actions? How do we choose which actions to take? How does it work? And how can I make it work for me? So I'm going to start by chunking down the information to the very smallest bits, like these cells and such. And then I'm going to work my way up to the bigger picture and how it all works together. All right, sound good? Cool. So to start, I'd like to introduce you to your brain. Now, there's still a lot that's not fully understood about the brain, but what we have come to know is that the brain is a complex organ that is constantly changing, and it's constantly adapting to new information and experiences. The brain is constantly evolving in order to meet the demands of our daily lives, and it's responsible for all aspects of our human thought, feelings, and actions or behaviors. Oh, there's me chunking up and chunking down. Thoughts, feeling, and behaviors. This might look similar to the handout that I provided you earlier in this weekend. So that means if we're constantly changing and adapting, that means the brain that you have today is not the same brain that you had yesterday. It's not the same brain you had 2 weeks ago. It's not the same brain you had 2 years ago or 20 years ago. And so with that brain changing, that means that things are not always as cemented as we thought. It doesn't have to be, oh, that's just how I am anymore. You can change your mind at any time. You can heal your trauma. You can choose to make your life what you want it to be. And it's all thanks to this lovely organ up here. Everyone say, thank you, brain. Yeah, you're welcome. What? Not yet, not yet, but I will get you there. Don't worry. Yeah. So I like to think of our brain like really big computers, really, really powerful computers, right? 42. So we've got a control panel, a memory disk, and a keyboard to input data and give direction. We even have a screen. Hang on, there we go. So we have a screen to input data and display whatever we want to compute. So let me break it down for you. Everything that we do and become is displayed on our screen, which is our persona, our person, who we are, the actions that we take. Everything that our computer absorbs is input through the 5 senses, also known as our keyboard: visual through the eyes, auditory through the ears, olfactory through the nose, gustatory through the mouth, and kinesthetic through the touch. This is where we begin our programming. And so what we put into our computers then gets stored in our memory disk. And that memory disk is our minds, our subconscious and conscious minds. Our brains are wired to store information, but we absorb so much information every day. The human brain can process up to 11 million bits of information per second. Per second, every single thing in this room, your brain is taking in. And so our brains can't absorb and store all of that information. Just like when your computer or phone says memory full, like what happened earlier last night. If we processed all of that information, we wouldn't be able to function either. So our brain selects what to focus on based on what its memory of similar situations in the past have been. This is also how PTSD gets triggered. It deletes information deemed unnecessary, distorts information that doesn't fit the individual's truths, and it generalizes a bunch of similar informations together in order to better digest it easier. The process creates a filter that we see the world through. Let's see if I can play this. Oh. Let's see, can we play? Yeah.
What's his name? What's his name? I got nothing on a name. Come on, baby, what's the name?
This is the inside of SpongeBob's brain when they forgot his name. They threw out the paper that had his name on it. We wouldn't be able to function. So we all have all of these different filters that create our perception of the world that we live in, based on the history that we've had in the past, based on these different filters that we see the lens of the world through. And so what we store becomes what we show on our screen. It becomes our actions and our behaviors. It becomes our persona. And so in order to rewrite some of those memories that our computer brains keep remembering, we need to start thinking about unpacking those filters, pulling back the blinds, pulling back those curtains that cloud our perception. And by doing that, we focus on what information we want to fill our brains with, being conscious about what we focus on, and choosing the filter of love over fear. If everything you surround yourself with gets input into your subconscious, then it makes sense to surround yourself with stuff that makes you happy and brings you joy, right? How many of us watch the news or scroll on Facebook or read the newspapers? How about filling our stuff with more light, joy, music that makes us happy, friends that give us joy, nature that connects us with ourselves? So what stops us from doing this is every memory that we've stored up until this point. Every memory that we've created in our heads has shaped how our control panel works. And every situation in our lives triggers one of those memories. Have any of you guys seen Inside Out? Yeah. It's a great movie, right? Well, if you haven't, I highly recommend watching it again because it shows you this concept extremely well. If you guys remember, the girl's brain is manned by happiness, joy. And she goes through a difficult situation in her life. She gets clouded by these memories of fear, anger, sadness, and disgust. And they try to take over the control panel. Right? How many of us are in traffic and they see someone cut us off and we're like, no. So all of these different emotions are trying to take control of your brain because they're like, I remember this situation before. I know what to do. I remember this situation, a similar situation. I know what to do. So when they show the mother's panel, it shows sadness is in charge. When they pan to the father's panel, anger is the leader. And so each of these core memories and beliefs that we ingrain in our brain shapes who we give the control to in our brain. See how there's mostly yellow? Joy is in control. So ask yourself, who's in control of your panel right now? Who's in control of your brain? Are you choosing the responses based on fear, anger, disgust, or sadness? Or are you choosing the path of joy, happiness, and love? And also, I'd like to mention, there can be mixed emotions. It's okay to have two seemingly opposite emotions in one event. We are complex human beings. There's no black and white. It's not, I have to feel sad because of this, or I have to feel happy. Opposite emotions can exist within the same memory. You can feel happy and a little sad that your friend is moving on to a new job or a new house or whatever it is. You're allowed to have contradictory emotions. And so my theory is if we flood our brains with more happiness and joy, then maybe that gives a chance for joy to take the reins a little bit, right? But how do we do that? So with our computer brains, of course, because we're so powerful. We're so powerful. But what makes our computer's brains so powerful compared to just this regular computer? Your brain is constantly evolving, as I said before. It's constantly creating new cells. You are a natural creator and you don't even realize it. I understood this concept better when I learned some of the basic anatomy of the brain. The brain is like a group of experts with each part focusing on a different function, constantly communicating with each other to create the person that you are today. It communicates through a network of neurons that talk with each other through electrical and chemical signals, also known as energy, and different parts of the brain relate to different functions in our bodies. These neurons are literally energy. These neurons are our thoughts, our actions, our words. This is literally the energy that we use to create our world. And so the brain and the rest of the nervous system are composed of many different types of cells, but the primary functional cell I'm going to talk about today is the neuron. All sensations, movements, thoughts, memories, and feelings are the result of signals that pass through these neurons, which consist of three main parts. We have the cell body that's in charge of the activity that the cell is designated for. It's like, this is for this function. Then we have the dendrites, which is these long little veins that come out. And this is how the neuron receives messages from other neurons because they're always talking to each other. And then we have the axon, which sends the message from the cell to the dendrites of the other neurons in your body because we're always working together. Now that's a lot of science terms, I know, bear with me. It's only going to get better. So our bodies are constantly in communication with ourselves. We send and receive messages constantly. Everything we hear, see, think, and say, and do, and everything that we absorb on a daily basis gets transmitted through these neurons. Now, I like to relate the neurons to different functions. So in order for the cell body to tell us what to do, it's our core beliefs and our thoughts that govern what that cell body does and how it's programmed. These transmitters, also known as the dendrites, are what share this information with others to tell them, hey, this neuron is programmed for this function. I'm going to get to the myelin sheath in a second, but that is muscle memory. That is every time you do something, it strengthens. And this axon that delivers the information is the action. Axon, action. All right, so each of these neurons is programmed for a different function or a specific job. Some are for walking and talking. Others are for learning directions or remembering song lyrics. Some are for remembering names or where you put your keys, right? Brain, where's that neuron when I need it most? Each action has a different neuron that is functioned and programmed to carry out that specific action. Now your brain, guess how many neurons your brain has? Anyone? Anyone?
Trillions.
Trillions. So your brain has 86 billion neurons. And every day you create 700 to 1400 new fresh neurons every day that you get to decide how you want to program them. They're brand new. They have no instruction. They need someone to tell them what to do. So however, these 7 to 1400 baby neurons are born, so too do the old neurons die off. Everything exists in the cycle, and so does the brain. Now, this is called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's capacity to continue growing and evolving in response to life's experiences. Studies have shown that newly born neurons play an important role in certain types of learning and memory. These new baby neurons are really helpful for regulating emotional processes like anxiety and depression. Hint. And let me just clarify something about anxiety for a second. Anxiety is the result of labeling the physical sensations in your body. Anxiety and excitement present themselves as the same chemical reactions in your body, but what we label it is, and how we ascribe it, classifies it as anxiety. So we can rewire how our brain reads those physical sensations in our body, as long as we know how to program them. So, tons of neurons every day. How do we make neurons? How do we make new neurons? How do we control the 7 to 1400 new neurons? Stress, poor diet, drugs or alcohol, injury, and just natural aging all contribute to the decline in the process of neurons in your brain. But on the flip side, exercise, learning new skills, actively listening to music, pulling out the different instruments, listening to the different composers and stuff like that, actively listening to music, engaging in positive social interactions, engaging in childlike play again. How many of you looked at things for the first time and are like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, playing a kazoo, you know, like practicing positive activities, mental strategies. I was doing Sudoku earlier this morning. Stuff like that. Finding your purpose in life helps you to create new neurons in your brain. Exercise and actively listening to or playing music is like miracle grow for the brain. It creates new brain cells while reducing stress hormones, and it increases endorphins for a positive mood. It helps prevent diseases and disorders and activates many different parts of the brain, which help with cognitive functioning. Exercise in particular helps us by getting us out of the intellectual and emotional centered loop that causes a lot of anxiety and overthinking with overfeeling. It helps us break that cycle by interjecting with the movement center. And I'm going to get more to the centers in a second. Traveling to new environments will also kickstart a burst of new neurons in order to help you learn your surroundings. And it allows you to see from different perspectives and take on a whole new view of the world. Even if you just take a new route to the store or to work, our brains are then forced out of that autopilot that they're always in, and it needs to absorb the information in order to keep us safe. Your brain is just trying to keep you safe. So whenever something triggers and it's like an anxiety, like warning, 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 it means that the reactions in your brains are warning lights intended to keep you safe, because something in your brain has triggered a response that you have a memory to in the past. So also your brain needs sleep. Your brain needs time to rest and recharge. So getting enough sleep will help build neuroplasticity. If we're talking about computers, it's like turning it off and turning it back on again. Have you ever had a problem and that worked? It's like it for your brain too. So now, these young baby neurons are just like young kids. They're excitable and responsive to all sorts of interactions, stimulation, environments, whereas the older neurons are more reserved and restrained and a little bit more resistant to change. Every time these neurons activate their electrical transmissions, connecting with other cells through the axons, they reinforce that action. When the neurons fire frequently, there forms a thing called the myelin sheath. And that's this thing that you see, these little pill-looking things that you see on the axon. The myelin sheath reinforces that action. When the neurons fire frequently, they provide this myelin sheath to protect the axon and strengthen the connection of that axon. It helps nerve signals travel faster and farther, and it keeps them alive as long as they're continually needed. So ones for walking and talking are very strengthened by this myelin sheath because they're like, we use it every day. We need to remember how to do this. However, so the more the myelin sheath strengthens, the stronger the neuron gets. However, the less you use it, the weaker the myelin sheath gets. So hundreds of new excitable neurons can't just be placed willy-nilly in the brain. They have to be programmed to connect with other neurons in order to create a cohesive network. So one, it's not just about how many neurons your brain creates, or it's about how they're connected to each other and how they interact, which plays an even more important role in the integration of these new synapses that you want to program. So each time you do something, the connection between neurons strengthens, and the easier it gets to do in the future because your brain remembers that connection. It has strengthened that myelin sheath that tells the brain what to do based on what response. Adversely, the less you do something, the weaker the connection gets, and the easier it is for those neurons to die off and be replaced with something else. Just as much muscles atrophy when you don't use them, neurons act in the same way. You got to use it before you lose it. But in order to stop doing something, you can't just remove the neurons. They've been there and strengthened for years and years of practice that we've been unconsciously or consciously doing. They can only be replaced by new neurons when they become weak enough to die off. But that only happens if we continue to strengthen the connections of those new neurons that we've programmed earlier, strengthening their myelin sheath and making those stronger than the ones that we want to stop doing. This is all true of all habits. Habits cannot be stopped, they can only be replaced. When we replace the habits with something else, the action or axon that we are practicing becomes stronger, while the one we're replacing gets weaker and weaker until the myelin sheath has dissolved and the neuron ceases to fire and eventually dies off because there's no more purpose for it. They gave me an easy acronym to remember this with. Feed your brain. Focus on the situation or thing you want to remember, directing your attention to what's important to you. Effort. Shift your attention from perception to action, being intentional with our actions, like everyone in the past has been saying. Effortlessness, after a new thought or behavior or feeling is established, the less energy it takes to keep it going. So long as you continue to practice it, which brings me to D, determination. Continue to practice it. Repetition is what breeds habits. Now, applying this to the Michael teachings, specifically our chief features, but this is true of all overleaves with positive and negative poles. When something happens in our lives and triggers a feeling that corresponds to one of our chief features and or any of these positive or negative poles, it's an invitation for your brain to rewire those connections and form new constructive habits. By being purposeful with how you think and behave, you create a new circuit of neurons and strengthen the habits you want to build. This energy is what we use to create our reality. When something triggers one of the chief features, I like to use a tool that I learned in therapy called the cognitive triangle. That is this worksheet that you see right here, and I'm going to pull it up right here. This is the cognitive triangle. Now, y'all have a worksheet, right? So we're going to do this together if you'd like. It's an easy way for our brains to conceptualize and organize our thoughts, feelings, and actions. You don't have to write it down if you don't want to. You can write it down, and it's better and easier for your brain to remember the process of how to do this, but I'm going to walk it through with you together. Now, if you notice something, we have the 3 triangles up here, the thoughts, feelings, and actions. These are the centers that we move through according to the Michael teachings, the intellectual, the emotional, and the moving centers. And I will get to the physical center shortly because that's a topic I just added, and I do have a bit to say about it, but I'm going to focus on these centers right now. The centers convey the experience of the personality. They are the filter in which our brain computes information and spits it out as action. According to the Michael Handbook, they're like bridges or portals between essence and personality. But sometimes we can get caught in loops. For example, I used to get caught in this thinking, feeling, intellectual, emotional loop. I would think of something that happened, I like overthink it, replay it in my head. I'd get that knot in my stomach, those feelings again, and it would just like recycle over and over and over again. And I'd have like whatever the emotion was, I labeled to fit whatever negative pole I was feeling. And it would just create this cycle that turned into anxiety in my stomach, in my brain, in my thoughts. I didn't like that feeling. I needed to get out of it. So by incorporating the action center of our body, we break that habit. When we practice the habit of moving through each of the 3 centers, instead of just staying in our 2 primary centers, for me, the think, feel loop, and we slide into the opposite center, we break those loops and can more easily rewire our brain to focus on the positive pole of whatever the situation is. Now, each of us has different preferences, as you know, to which one to focus on first. So whichever box you fill in first in this center triangle is up to you. Think of a situation in your life that has triggered one of the chief features for you. And it doesn't matter how big or how small the problem is, it is the practice that we are practicing. Repetition breeds habit. So we can use something as small as losing your keys, or we can use something as big as dealing with a family's health problem. It doesn't matter how big or small, whatever problem you use is going to be beneficial for you. So I'm going to use losing my keys as an example, since that seems to be the talk of the town. Might as well work through it together, right? So my objective experience is the first one that I fill in. The objective experience is I don't have my keys. They're not with my person. And so once you have your objective experience, notice that there's no emotions or thoughts attached to this objective experience. It's literally what happened, nothing else. No filter is put on this experience. Now, ask yourself which negative pole this triggered. So I'm going to go to my chief features. Which negative pole or positive this triggered, and look at the positive pole of that chief feature, or the positive opposite of that chief feature. So I'm going to pause this for a second because I want to walk through this. I created these November of last year, and it's an easier way for my brain to recognize the positive and negative poles of each of these different overleaves that we have. So now I have the chief features and features, and each of these, as we go through, you can see the positive self-depth is humility, while the negative is abasement. And when we want to slide into the positive of humility, but we're having trouble, we can utilize the opposite inspiration role, which is arrogance, or in the positive term, pride. And this is true for all of them. So as I move through these, I find mortification. I was mortified that I lost my keys. How could I do that? Martyrdom is probably one of my chief features. I'm not going to say probably, it's definitely one of my chief features. And so I automatically jump to this mortification. And if we go back to this, my thought was, dude, where's my keys? How could I have lost my keys? I always have them with me. I always keep them to my person. How could this happen to me? So my first initial thought was martyrdom. The next thing that happened in my body was the feeling, mortification, embarrassment, shame that I could do something like this, like I'm so smart. How could I lose my keys? So mortification, shame. How do we move into the positive pole of martyrdom, which is selflessness? And so I think about this when I'm filling out my cognitive triangle. How do I incorporate a selfless act? So if I'm in this thought and feeling, the next thing that I need to do is act it out. So if I'm choosing the positive pole of whatever it is that I want to get out of, selfless, then and I'm having trouble with it. So if I'm having trouble moving into selfless acts, I'm moving into the opposite cardinal action role, which is impatience and audacity. So that's me looking for my keys and asking for help. I have the audacity to ask this group of people that I've literally just met to band together to help me find my keys outside my comfort zone. You know, I am, first of all, receiving help. I'm a very big, like, if you know me, I'm the one that does all this. I'm a very big, I can do it myself kind of person, you know, like I can do 5 jobs at once and fine, you know, it'll be fine. Asking for and receiving help, totally out of my comfort zone. And so the more I practice it, the easier it gets to do. So my chosen action then is audacity. And so I feel that right here. So now with that audacity and knowing that I want to have that selfless thought, what is my next reframed thought? Selflessness. How can this help others missing things as well? How can we help each other? And what has led to how can we help the earth, Seven Oaks, to better, you know, appreciate our time here? So this first original thought, martyrdom, has now turned into the opposite positive pole of selflessness. I'm just gonna go off of that. What?
Best deconstruction of sliding I've ever seen.
Thank you. Thank you. Don't worry, I've got more. I'm not done. Keep saying positive things, please. Thank you. Sliding into that pride role, right? So this new reframed thought of selflessness now turns into, because I'm an inspiration, emotion, what feeling does this convey for me? And it's acceptance, gratitude, agape. I am so grateful to have so many caring people help me with this. A deep sacrificial love that transcends and persists regardless of circumstance. So the action then is, we've had experiences and memories that have been so mutually beneficial and have learned how the ground wants us to honor it, thanking the grounds for giving us a collective space to heal, giving back to the land so we will always have a place of each other to carry out throughout our lives and bringing us back to this healing energy. The actions that have corresponded from this positive reframing are good for ecology. They're good for yourself, they're good for others, and they're good for the world. And so, this is how to slide into the positive poles of whatever your chief features are. And this is how you get to create your reality.
Is there not a direct, shorter way?
Looked in this bag that I carry with me all the time as my computer bag. I have taken everything out of it. I have flipped it upside down. Other people have looked through it. It was in here. I even put a check someone gave me in here. So I knew that I looked in here before. They were sitting in here last night.
Yeah.
So last night, Ivy had lost her phone. And so I took myself and Ivy and some flashlights to go find her phone. And we went back to her little cottage and I was like, did you check all your pockets? And she was like, yeah, I did. And we look like again, and she goes and she looks at her backpack and it's in the front pocket. It's right there. And so I don't know what it was, but when I got back to my room, I was like, let me just check one more time, like just what's one more time? It was 12:12 at night. And I reach into my bag and I'm shuffling around, and all of a sudden I feel my keys. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how is this possible? I knew that they would show up right when I needed them the most, right when they would make the most impact, right when they would cement everything that I was just talking about, how we create our reality, how we move through our emotions, and how we transcend this fear of like, how am I going to get home? How am I going to, leave? We have to leave tomorrow morning. How do I transcend this fear in my body and turn it into gratitude for everyone else, turn it into love, turn it into a positive emotion? And as soon as I did that, they showed up. Thank you. So now I'm not done. I know I have, but wait, there's more. So, I wanted to, as I was practicing this earlier in the week, Rebecca brought up a good thing about what? Stand back. Oh yeah, here I am. I see you. All right. So I see me. I see everyone. We are all one. So she brought up a good thing. Not everyone moves through the emotional, intellectual, and moving centers as we once thought. Some people, primary function is the physical center. And so physical centered people operate a bit differently, not too much, but just a bit differently. And everyone has to learn this because everyone slides into the physical center at some point in time. Some are just more sensitive to it and choose to stay in it a little bit longer. People in the physical centered emotion are able to process the world in a more thank you. They're able to process the world in a more somatic way. So kinesthetic, through their body, through their feelings, their sensations. And with those sensations, it's the body's way to get us to ask it what it wants us and what it's trying to tell us. So it's the body's way of putting up those little indicator lights, those little like warning, flashing lights, something's going on, what do we do? And so the energy that you feel or see is a neuron that's firing in your brain based on some situation that you're observing, and it's trying to look for a connection. It's trying to make sense of what it's observing and what it's seeing. And if that energy doesn't know where to go, it will manifest in whichever way it thinks will get our attention. Maybe it's a feeling of chills, or maybe it's goosebumps, or sometimes it's a deep lump in our throat, or butterflies in our stomach, or gut feeling, or maybe it manifests physically where you can see it, like a random bruise that you don't know where it came from, or, it can even exhibit as the actual nerves in our body shaking and vibrating. That's what happens to me when I have anxiety. I physically feel like the veins in my body are just like shaking, right? And so I learned to ask what the sensation was trying to tell me. And in order to disperse the energy that I'm feeling in my body, we need somewhere for it to go. The body just puts it where it's remembered to put it before. So what if we gave that energy an outlet, another outlet, and disperse the energy outside of us? So to help us answer the question of what it is that your body is trying to tell you, we're going to give it a different directive. I'm going to do a little demonstration for you. In my jujitsu class, we have a series of warm-ups that we do every single day, and it helps us to reinforce some of the core moves that we use in jujitsu. One of the moves that we use is called a break fall, because it teaches us how to break our fall and protect ourselves when we get taken down to the ground. So I'm going to show you a break fall right now. Yeah, and I'm going to make sure that you all can see me here. Take off my hat. All right, so I'm standing up right here, and as soon as someone, Steve, can you come?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
No, I was gonna, here, what do you need?
Let me
Sure.
Let me make sure it's like this. All right, you guys can see.
Are you gonna be in screen?
Yeah. If you could just tap my shoulders like that.
Okay.
All right, so this is gonna signify someone pushing me over, I'm falling down.
Steve, step forward a few
I was gonna say,
inches.
maybe if we do it the other way around.
Yeah.
So that, there we go. Great, so,
Well, they need to see the ground.
oh, okay, yeah. well, that's-
Okay,
yes,
down to the ground.
Right, I mean, that's what I wanted, so that they also, okay, so,
So-
just a push.
Yep,
right?
so you're just gonna push me down. All right, so that was me falling down to the ground. Do it again. Yeah.
Like that.
So I'm gonna break it down for you, okay? So what I'm doing, as soon as he pushes me down, or as soon as I feel the sensation of me falling, I instantly tuck my shoulders so that I protect my head. I cross my arms, and this is gonna come in later. I get down as low as I can to the ground, because if we're falling up, it's gonna be a big splash, we're not belly flopping on the ground. So I try to get as low as possible. And as I get low, I curve my back, so I end up like a little rocking chair. So I'm going like this, essentially. And notice how my head,
I got it.
Okay, no, she's going out of frame, I was gonna say, get it.
Okay.
how's that?
Oh, okay.
So my head
Don't need it.
never touches the ground. Now, the other thing that I did was I took my hands and I went like this. And when I do that, it disperses the energy of the fall through the ground and stops me from just rocking backwards. And now I've protected myself from falling, because if I just fell like this, like you heard it in my voice, that's not fun. So when we disperse the energy and release it through our bodies, it gives the energy somewhere constructive for it to go. And so when we have these feelings and emotions in our bodies, we need to give it somewhere else to go, somewhere constructive. And it doesn't matter, you don't have to drop down and do a break fall whenever you get anxiety, like to each their own. Maybe it's what you want to do, I don't know.
Interpretation based on your language,
Yes.
you have built neurons that have retrained your instinctive center how to do an action automatically to protect you,
Yeah.
but in a way that you have more control over.
Exactly. It is the repetition of strengthening those neurons. So now whenever I fall, whether it's slipping on ice or, going diving for a ball at volleyball or whatever it is, whenever I fall, I get to practice those neurons again. And the old way of falling has died off. I tried to do it. I couldn't even do it, like fall regularly, it's hard for me. So I'm practicing these other neurons, and it's easy for you to do this as well. All you have to do is figure out which part of your body is telling you something, whether it's your back, your shoulders, and just opening it up, maybe shaking it out, maybe stretching. Can everyone just stretch your arms? Open up your chest, bring them all the way up to the top of your head. Take a deep breath. And release. And as we release, exhale. And as we do this, shake our shoulders out. Yes, move our bodies. Give us something else to do. Give us somewhere for that energy to go. As we do that, we tell our brain that we're safe. We are okay. We're able to take time to take a stretch, to, do yoga, do whatever it is we want to do. Our brains are trying to keep us safe. And so when we tell it, you can relax. The brain trying to keep us safe has evolved from when we were like Neanderthals and stuff like that. And
Try 2 billion years worth of life training.
baby souls, young souls, we were fighting for our lives. We were fighting for our lives to survive. And so our brain is still developing. It's still trying to understand and conceptualize that. But the same fears that we had back when we were fighting lions and tigers and bears are not the same fears that we have today fighting technology or, whatever it is that's frustrating other people, whatever it is that's frustrating us. We don't have to hunt for our food if we don't want to. We don't have to, gather the berries and stuff like that. We can live harmoniously with our surroundings, but we have to tell our brain that it is safe to do so. these fears that we once had. We don't have to worry about a bear climbing through the doors anymore. I mean, situationally aware is very important. Obviously, if you're in the woods or something and a bear comes, protect yourself. But that's the thing, your brain is only trying to protect itself. And so when it sees these things that fire these negative emotions, these neurons that say, hey, they're warning signals, tell your brain, it's okay. I'm not afraid of this anymore. I can rewire this transmission. This thing that once controlled me doesn't have to control me anymore. And I'm able to choose a different response to it. And so that is how I want to leave you, with knowing that you can create your reality. You can change your brain. You can change the way your brain functions and works at any point in time. And hopefully this gives you a little bit of more insight into how your body actually works, how your brain actually works. And I invite you to, when you do visualization exercises or meditation, I invite you to try to pull up some of those pictures that I had on the screen earlier, the brain, the neuron. Focus on your brain and the part of your brain and which neuron it is that is firing. And as you close your eyes and focus on that neuron and tell it, hey, we're gonna try something different. Just trust me. And as you do that, visualize the changes happening in your brain. And as you do that, it gets stronger and easier to carry out into your daily lives. And with that, thank you. Thank you.
So, no, if you would, Dawn, please, get over here, especially on her.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen in the audience here, and ladies and gentlemen on the audience online. When I first met Abby the other day, she was talking about how much this teaching has meant to her. And she even asked me how much she would like to get some kind of validation from those of us who have been at it for a while. Well, officially, as just one of the many channels in this teaching, I am handing you the torch as the next generation. Bring this teaching to the world. You have developed a cohesive, integrative language of many schools, many learnings with this one to make it much more substantial, much more understandable, but also much more usable.
Yeah.
I compliment you.
Brilliant.
And so how lovely at Seven Oaks, when we close this area, we also send out a new emissary.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Abby. You deserve it. Did you want to take questions from the audience?
I can absolutely take some questions.
People who are here to come somewhere. and don't-
Yeah, if anyone would like to come up and talk.
I wanted to say one thing.
Yes.
I want you to share that program and the charts that you made. Yes, that's phenomenal.
Thanks.
We all need it, I know I need it, so.
Yeah, I will definitely happily share the charts that I've made, the worksheets that I've made. I put the worksheets on my website, and I can give you all the link to that. And I'm going to send the charts out to the group afterwards when I send the final, email. I'm so grateful that you guys found this so helpful. It's so I do things. It was so funny how this kind of came about, and I kind of feel like Michael has been looking at my notes for the past year and a half, because all of these kind of culminated to the same, conversation. And I didn't have this written until Tuesday, and I got here Wednesday, and I was up until 4 a.m. and I was just banging it out. And I realized, I was like, I don't even have a presentation. I literally finished my presentation last night, and it's just pictures. So to throw out the graphic designer in me, but I just needed to get the image across. And so I realized the PowerPoint, the charts that I made, the worksheet I made, I've already had. I created that for myself months and months and months ago. And I was just like, this is the perfect time to introduce it and to integrate it with everything that I've been doing before. So thank you so much. I will definitely make this available for everyone. I have Gail right here.
There was the same as Barbara's. It's
Yeah.
like, we need those charts. These charts made it so usable and so. I don't think it's about that. For Sage,
Yeah,
you took this teaching, which has a pragmatic approach to begin with.
yeah.
And you just really reconstructed it with the focus that they didn't do, and you put it together in this pragmatic, easy.
Oh, do you want to? Sure.
Yeah.
You go ahead and have that.
Way to incorporate it.
Thank
And I
you.
think most of us could use, I think everyone can use this other place.
I think everyone can.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Where'd
Thank
you
you.
get-
I appreciate that so much.
Just looking
for the
chat.
Oh my gosh. 58 chats. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
All right.
you.
Hi, everyone on Zoom. Thank you so much for watching and staying with us. Oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you.
This
so-
was incredible, incredible.
Thank you. Mary Lynn says this is incredible. I appreciate you so much. Thank
And
you.
I'm bouncing on my ball
I don't
to
have, yeah.
incorporate this
I
message.
can't hear you, unfortunately. Oh, what
Oh.
is my, hang on one
Oh.
second. I'm change my audio settings. Here we go. Say that again, Marianne. Let's try.
Oh, I said,
There you go.
while I've been listening to incorporate this message, I've been bouncing on my ball, my therapy ball. So I'm like, all three centers.
Yes, exactly. That movement, every little bit counts. Every little thing counts. You know, that is what helps you get out of that center, that center loop that we get into.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
you know what? I knew you would find your keys. I knew it. I knew it.
Thank you. I was channeling that energy.
And
I
it
don't,
was like, whoa.
yeah.
So good job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Does anyone else on Zoom? Yes, Beata.
I got two important aspects of what you said. One is in small everyday situations, a good practical way is to switch to another center. And the
Mhm.
other thing is, if one is obsessed or lost or severely engaged in a situation you don't want, or in a center you don't want, then it's really helpful that one uses the other aspects as well, that the aspects you explained, to break habits if it's very difficult. But if it's easy, just switch to just go walking or whatever.
Yeah. So you bring up a really good point that I also want to like clarify for everyone. We don't have to stick to just one of these different poles, you know, like these emotions translate in our lives, whether our chief feature is martyrdom or whether it's not. We can slide into these poles because it's human emotion. We are complex human beings. We don't have to just play the role of sage. We can channel those different energies, that king energy, that warrior energy, that priest energy at any time based on the situations that we are experiencing in life. And so when you have an experience and you're feeling something negative that you don't want to experience, it is that conscious decision to choose how you want to show up in the world, how you want to experience it instead. And you can choose from any of these different roles. You can choose from any of these different attitudes, modes, goals, whatever it is. If you want to, if you're feeling shy and you want to feel dynamic, it's your
It's not only choosing, it's one has to find out what is the way it works for me. So you
Yeah.
have to try different things,
Yes.
and then you know, if I do it that way, that is most helpful. And then you use that. If
Exactly.
it becomes a habit again, maybe you have to switch.
Yeah. And so that's exactly it. It's different strokes for different folks. Everyone is different. Everyone has different preferences and stuff like that.
Consciously aware, track your pattern.
Consciously aware, track your patterns, Steve says. Also, I want to track your patterns is something else I wanted to bring up. So I started tracking my days. I started, so part of how I figured all of this out was because I started tracking my days. And if you can see here, this is it's called the year of pixels. And every single day since 2018, I would track my emotions and my feelings for the day. In 2019 and 2020, I started writing down the good,
Wow.
positive things that had happened during the day that contributed to those feelings and emotions. In 2021 and 22 and 23, now I start writing everything that happens. I've created an entire little journal, and it has different sections that I have found to be really helpful in discovering what's true and what's right for me. And so whenever I would have an emotion that was sad or melancholy, I was able to go back in my notebook, in my time, in my calendar, and say, when was the last time I felt loved? When was the last time I felt grateful? When was the last time I felt powerful? And I was able to look back in my journal and say, oh, I was doing this. I was around these people. This is what I thought about. This is what I surrounded myself with. And I was able to start doing those more. And as I did that, if you notice up here, we have positive and negative, +1, +2, -1, -2. As I started doing that more, I started filling up my days with more positive days. And the ones that were anxious and sad and upset started falling off, because I was filling that with the things that brought me joy, that brought me happiness. And I got to choose what it was that worked for me, because it's different for everyone. I'm not going to tell you any of these self-help things are going to be right for you. If yoga works for you, if jujitsu works for you, whatever works for you is going to be different. And by doing this, by tracking your days, that's how you get to discover what works for you. Thank you, Beata. That was beautiful.
Abby,
Copyright that journal of yours and sell it.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I have to make a version 2. So I'm definitely gonna put it out there. So thank you. Thank you.
Abby,
Yes.
those sheets, the year in pixels, the
Yep.
blank ones,
Yeah.
do you have that you could
I do.
share
I
with
do.
us?
I absolutely do. So I'm gonna put it. I have it already on my website, and I'm so createexploreexpress.com. And I'm going to share my website with you, and I'm going to put it on the chat. Here you go. And I'm going to bring you to the page. So I have more, and it's under emotional support, and it's right here.
Okay, great.
And
Cool.
at the bottom of our website, I'm going to share my screen so I can bring you through it. Okay. So let's see, share screen, share.
Okay, I'm
right.
I'm on it right now.
Fabulous. So this is my website. I have a few, I kind of call myself a professional. Yeah, so it's Create, Explore, Express, because we get to create our own perception of reality. We get to explore our version of true self.
Oh my God.
Express our light within. And so I wanted to, and that's my tattoo, my branding tattoo. It's my brand. And so I wanted to convey that through my website. I just recently started my own business, and I call myself a professional friend, because I have a lot of different talents and a lot of different techniques and things that I can do to support people and support others. And so I have a bunch of different things on here. And if you go to more and you go to emotional support, we have a couple of videos that I've done. I'm going to be putting up more as I find the inspiration too. And then I have some worksheets. So here we have the cognitive triangle, and I have a little video that I created about the cognitive triangle as well. So you guys can remember this presentation anytime you want. I also have a couple of other worksheets, the emergency kit, I call it, for your emotions. It's going to be different for everyone. So it's building the tools and resources for your toolkit for any emotional distress that you have going on in your life. And all of my videos will help you understand these worksheets that I have on my page. And you can always reach out to me if you need anything, or want to talk. I'm happy to hear. So
you're amazing. You're incredible. What a gift you are.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm gonna cry. Rebecca, what did you say?
Are you gonna put the charts from today's thing onto the website?
Yeah, I will absolutely put the charts from today onto the website as well. I will, I'll share this out to everyone in the world. Thank you so much. I designed it myself, my website. Thanks, Cheryl. Yeah. Yeah, if someone knows how to do copyright or anything, let me know so I can, okay, perfect. So I'm gonna work with you, Jean. I appreciate it. Do we have any other questions, either in person or on Zoom? I don't have time to go through the entire chat, but I am loving this and I'm happy to read through this later. Yeah, must be a sage. I am a sage. I guess you guys knew. I'm a sage with a priest cast, so obviously. Yeah. The break fall? Yes.
It happened to me like years ago.
Yeah.
I had a newborn niece and I'm out of history.
Yeah.
And my little boy was maybe 3 or 4.
Mhm.
He said, I want to hold the baby.
Mhm.
So I half sat with my one butt cheek on the chair,
Uh-huh.
having him, and all of a sudden the little bugger just shoved me with jealousy. I have this newborn in my arms, so all I could do was fall backwards and rock like a turtle. So this newborn wouldn't get hurt because I couldn't use a hand to break my fall.
Yeah,
And of course, one of my sister-in-laws,
yeah,
Riley, says, did you get that on tape?
yeah. You were,
And another one says, oh, that baby was never in any danger. But yeah, I was like a turtle on my back.
yeah, you were protecting them.
Huh?
You were protecting them.
Yeah, but I mean, the thoughts going through my head.
See, that's the thing. Our brain instinctually knows what to do. Our
Yeah.
brain does this naturally.
We don't have to tell our brain, we just have to remind it.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful.
May I add
Yes.
a translation?
Yes,
You just used the word there,
Yeah.
instinctually.
yeah,
And what you were demonstrating today is that we can constantly retrain and update our instinctive centers.
mm-hmm.
And that whole process is called soul aging.
Mm.
That is how we got from infant soul to old soul, is constantly updating, retraining, and expanding the innate awarenesses in our instinctive center. And you demonstrated how it worked today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow. Real fast before I end, and for the people that are on the floor, can I share one more technique that I learned in jujitsu? Okay. Everyone's gonna need this, trust me. So when you are on the ground already, and you know how in old age, whenever or even if you have bad knees or whatever, it's not easy to get up all the time. So I'm gonna teach you an easy way to get up, all right? And your body knows how to do this naturally. Kids do this all the time. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take your feet and you're gonna kind of open them like a clamshell like this, and you're gonna lean to one side. You're gonna put both hands on the floor, and you're gonna use this foot that's a kickstand, and you're gonna put your weight on this foot and lift your hips up. And if you do this, you take less pressure on this leg right here. And as you lift it up, you're gonna bring your knee directly in between your hands. And when you bring your knee directly to your hands, you can then stand right up. You can do this also, it's easier a little bit for some people, if you were taught in jujitsu to step all the way back, and that way we're directly standing. But I know some people knee injuries or anything like that. So I like to do a little adaptation. So hands to the side, foot as a kickstand, knee between your hands, and stand up.
Wow.
And it's so easy. I've taught it to my mom. I've taught it to my grandmas. I've taught it to everyone can do this. So hopefully that helps everyone. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Time. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much. We are now.
Thank you.
time.
You have a bright future ahead of you.
Thank
There's
you
so many,
much.
yeah, creative things that you can do that you can offer to the world. I'm so happy to have met you.
Likewise. I'm so grateful for this community. I'm so grateful. Thank
So
you.
glad that you can take this stuff out into the world and incorporate like real simplified Michael teachings material
Yeah.
and speak the language of the masses.
Thank
Really.
you.
Do you have a YouTube page?
I do have a
Channel?
YouTube page. Yes, my YouTube page
Okay.
is Abby Smiles, and it's a little bit of a hodgepodge of things because I love live music. As you know, live music helps rewire your brain. So I have a lot of like the concerts that I've gone to and stuff. But I also have a lot of my rewiring and some of the tips and techniques that I've walked through in the past for mental stuff. So it's fine.
Awesome.
I'm
We'll
gonna
check it
stop
out.
recording.